the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Welcome to ResiWeek. This is your weekly wrap-up of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott, for AVNation.tv. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by my good friend Jason Knott. Jason, how are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here.
Thanks for being here. If you don't know Jason, he is the editor of CE Pro and one of our regulars. Then we have a newbie. I think you're a newbie. Are you totally a newbie? I think you're a newbie.
I'm a newbie.
You're a newbie. So
yeah.
Really, really nice.
Be kind, yes.
Well, I won't, but everyone else will. This is Brooks Swift. He is the CEO of iPoint Solutions. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Enjoying this so far.
Excellent. That's because we haven't started.
Oh, nice.
And last but not least, I've got my good friend Tim Albright. He is the founder and boss man of AVNation.tv.
I'm not boss. No.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm
Excellent.
good. Everybody here but you was at CD last week. So
has everyone recovered? Is everybody happy?
Barely getting my voice back.
Yeah. We drove all day yesterday and drank a lot of pop, so I'm so wired, so I'm good.
I love it. All right, well, let's jump right in. And if you haven't guessed, this is mostly going to be a CDO wrap-up kind of show, but we're going to start it off with a quick story from our good friend Ted Green over at strategy.com. It seems that CEDIA EMEA is being essentially taken fully into the CDUS family. This is probably a big deal, kind of not a big deal, depending who you talk to. Most people, as far as I understand it, didn't really realize that CEDIA EMEA, or formerly CEDIA UK, was just an independent organization that licensed the CEDIA name, and now, of course, they're becoming a big behemoth all together. Jason, I'm assuming that you're one of the guys that knew this was that separation existed. What does this mean for CEDIA, and what does this mean for, more importantly, kind of their international members?
I don't want to pretend to know what the structural stratification is over there at CEDIA, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of this had to do with the success of the Integrated Systems Europe show. With the CEDIA UK, CEDIA UK had dropped its own show in the United Kingdom in favor of supporting ISE, many years ago, 5, 6, whatever it was years ago. And I don't think anybody in the world realized that ISE was going to become the massive success that it became. And again, I don't pretend to know the details, but I'm pretty sure that CEDIA UK had a pretty strong financial stake in the that event over there, and part of this structural changing just has to do with the sharing of the finances from the windfall from that event.
Very good. Tim, for people who didn't realize that they were separate, are dealers, are we perceiving dealers to see anything different?
I think the biggest difference is honestly comes down to the board, the governing board, which I think is kind of cool. They have one combined board. Actually, a good buddy of ours is up for that board, Joe Whitaker.
Well, and just to go over real quick, one of the things I love about this is when you look at the board and they have the nominees, the candidates listed in this article, it's not. A lot of times when a U.S. company takes over kind of a non-U.S. company, politely the U.S. comes in, as the U.S. tends to do, and the board's made up of nothing but Americans. Yeah. But this is a really good mix. They've got a couple guys from England. They've got some guys some
from Cairo.
From Cairo, from Egypt, and from South Africa. Yeah, it's a nice mix. Sorry, not to continue with what
but that's exactly where I was going, right? I think the biggest difference they're going to notice is the board, and the fact that you've got folks from not only the U.S. but outside the U.S. providing perspective. Right. We've only attended ISE as AVNation for 2 years, and I fell in love with it the first year because of that perspective.
Yes.
We have a number of both commercial and residential friends who attend it from the U.S. So U.S. integrators who go over to Amsterdam to attend the show for a number of different reasons. But one of those is that international non-U.S. perspective on this industry. And I think that's going to be the biggest change that folks are going to see when it comes to their local organization, their local connection to CEDIA. My feeling and my understanding from reading this is that they're not going to see a difference there. Which honestly, when it comes to the nuts and bolts, how residential dealers interact with CEDIA on a daily basis and a weekly basis, part of honestly a very crucial point is that they don't see the difference. They don't feel any sort of difference. But when it comes to the governing in this board here, I think that's going to be one of the biggest difference, and a positive one at that.
Very good. Now, Brooks, as a manufacturer, does this affect you at all?
It's hard to know at this point. I mean, we've just in fact talked to a couple of different people about what are our marketing plans internationally, and at this point we really didn't have any. We're very U.S. focused, but a situation like this might open the door and make it more conducive to marketing to the UK and the European countries over there. I don't know. At this point, it's hard to tell, but that's all I could comment on for somebody who's just really focused in the U.S. by having a CEDIA that is more internationally focused. Make that an easier transition.
Well, yeah, it kind of keeps, especially for a firm like yourself, it gives that ability to easily scale your marketing globally with it all under one roof.
Right.
Keeping with the CEDIA talk, this week CEDIA unveiled plans for a workforce development that is helping to encourage U.S. veterans being hired in a transition assistance program to help build a path in our home tech industry. Jason, beyond obviously the great thing that this program is hoping to achieve, are there any major hurdles that this will cause for dealers who are looking to hire veterans?
I mean, anything that CEDIA or any other organization can do to help integrators hire people is a good thing. And, it's pervasive across almost everybody that we speak to at CE Pro that the growth of the industry is being limited by the fact that there's a lack of skilled technicians out there.
Yeah.
And even beyond that, when even they're unskilled technicians, guys don't even know where to find somebody to train them from scratch. So this is a really positive development, and combined with all the things that an integrator has to do to train somebody to get on board and hopefully rapidly onboard them from testing and troubleshooting to cable testing and installation and termination procedures to just basic construction methods and processes. Military people are going to be, not to be stereotypical, but they're going to be much more regimented and more, I think, prone to be responsible on the job. So it's a great fix.
Are they really just focused on the technician side of things, or is it going to be a larger scale where they're actually talking about operations? And there's many roles in a company that can be filled by somebody who does have that more of a structured or foundational teaching. For me in the military, where they may excel in another role other than just technician.
That's a great point.
Well, and that's very good. And that's what I was about to get to. Was it's not just that, yes, when you go into looking at the military workforce or potential workforce, that you've got guys that are, technically savvy. You also have a lot of guys that are, and girls, sorry, I'm not trying to make that distinction. But you have a lot of people that are stop laughing at me, Tim. You have a lot of people that, they understand teamwork. They understand, what it's like to show up on time and just all of those commitment things that the military seems to instill into people. This, to me, just seems like something that is not only a good thing, but a great thing, considering how hard it is, even for us or myself as a integration owner, finding dedicated people for the workforce is incredibly tough. Brooks, I'm assuming that's kind of the same thing that you guys run into.
Yeah, we deal with that. Part of our job with the software is just provide tools, but we also then try to go to the next step of helping these guys do training. We do a lot of consulting, and that's where it gets back to. It's not just a technician role. In fact, I would almost argue that's an easier role to fill than some of the other roles of actually managing a company, whether it be in the purchasing department or in a project management. There's other roles that need to be filled to really make a company run smoothly. Once it grows beyond just the few guys out there, if your company's got structure, those other structural components are very difficult. And I see our company struggle, if just as much, if not more, with those other positions than just the technician department. So.
Yeah, traditionally it's pretty, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's much easier to find somebody who can pull cable than it is who can do all the other things that you need in a business to be successful. Tim, were you able to ascertain if there was any additional tax benefits or tax breaks or incentives beyond just a promotion of their program?
No, at least not in the states. There might be local and state incentives, but nothing from a federal level. The one thing I find interesting about this is not the only trade that's doing this.
No,
here locally in St. Louis, both our pipe fitters as well as our carpenters unions make a big deal about it and advertise a lot about, we hire veterans. We're looking for veterans, on both. Actually, it's a kind of a two-pronged marketing approach, right? Hey, we hire veterans, so hire union contractors because we hire veterans. And oh yeah, by the way, we're looking for veterans to hire.
We always employ veterans. You should hire us because of that. Yes. By the way, we need a vet. Please, we're marketing this a lot. Don't go that route. Hire one first, then market it. All right, let's move on to the big story of the day and of the weekend, as Tim gets very, very excited. This comes to us from CE Pro and our good friend Julie Jacobson. Control 4 released OS 2.9. It's a lot of integration stuff, but the big words that you're probably seeing on your screen right now with that lovely photo is it integrates with Alexa in the US, not in Canada. But in the US, it integrates with Alexa. This was not even arguably, this was by far the biggest announcement or technology that was found all across the floor. Was everyone who had Alexa integration was promoting the heck out of it.
And let's be clear, it wasn't just Control 4.
Well, no, that's why I said it's everybody who had it. Control 4 had it. Crestron had it. Lutron had it. Who else did we? Sonos has
Alon.
it. Who was that? Alon.
Yeah.
Alon had it.
Not released yet, but it's coming.
Okay. Not vaporware. They promise.
I'm just saying they said it's coming. I'm just reporting what I was told.
Very, very good. Starting with you, Jason, is this as big of a deal as we as geeks and techs all make it out to be? Is this something that the general populace is really going to be excited about getting their feet wet?
To me, yes. I think that it's voice control is a great motivator. I was mentioned to you in our household. Since we got Alexa, the amount of interaction with what we've got in the home, from lighting control to music to everything, has increased phenomenally, and everybody in the family loves it. But I think it goes beyond just Alexa to, what I kind of, I guess, lovingly might call the fourth nephew of Donald Duck. Huey, Dewie, Louie, and Viewie, voice user interface. That's the new acronym, Viewie. But it wasn't just Alexa. I mean, there was, Josh AI was there making a splash with Meridian and Crestron, Lutron, Sonos, Nest interaction. There was also voice remotes from Comcast, Dish, Samsung, Savant, so voice control remote. So Alexa is obviously the most prominent participant in the category, but it's way beyond that.
Now, as we look at that and realize how beyond it is, Brooks, what is this going to mean for the integrators? You obviously work with a ton of integrators. As far as how much of this is stuff that they're going to have to deal with on a regular basis versus, the client just going out and buying one and hoping that it works with the majority of their smart home products, their IoT devices?
Well, it can do two things. One, it can open the door for you to actually sell something. So I think this is a product that a lot of people are on Amazon and might just see, hey, my friend's got that, I'm going to order this new cool gadget. But what do they do with it? And at that point, that's the benefit, is it does open the door for the integrator to then go in and say, hey, look, we can make this tie into these different products and take it to the next level. The other side of that, though, that could be the negative of that which is, my gosh, what do you, I don't know, what if a homeowner walks in and they've got this and they expect this to do things it can't do. I guess that's the other side of it, is one of the cruxes of any AV integrator is OFE, owner furnished equipment.
Yep. And
it's anytime you're getting into the unknown, these guys work really hard to get systems in place that are structured and built around systems that they are familiar with, that they can go and turn out. They can install it, it works, they walk away, they know it works. And I see both sides of this. It's really cool because it opens up the door to do upsell stuff, but at the same time, it can cause a lot of headaches. And so I think that's where the integrators have to be really careful not to overpromise or start digging a hole for themselves with a new cool product like this. When it just creates so much work, it then is a detriment. Well,
and you raise a really good point there. When we were just selling touchscreen remotes, for example, you had a box that you really couldn't get out of. You could tell, you could push the button and you could tell it to turn on the TV, to lower the shades, lower the lights, whatever, but you still had that physical box, and there was a perceived understanding of limitations on that. Once we start looking at Alexa in the smart home, the true smart home solution, at what point do we hit that? We were talking about this kind of pre-show. At what point do we hit the client expectation level limit where they're expecting to come in and say, oh my gosh, Alexa, I'm cold.
And but does she understand it properly?
Yeah, it becomes, it's that whole, we're delving into a big AI conversation, but at what point is that the expectation that clients have, that they tell Alexa they're cold and it warms the house up, or the room they're in up, versus, hey Alexa, it's cold. Can you please turn my thermostat in my living room up to 78% or 78 degrees?
Yeah.
Tim, how big of I don't want to say an issue, but how big of a problem could that become?
I don't see it as a problem. Let's define a couple of things here, and I'll agree with Jason that the number of other voice activated interfaces was quite substantial. Josh AI is very slick. CE Pro did a great interview with them. Our buddy Rich Fregosa, we did a video. It's very slick. It runs off of an app, so you have to have your phone talk into it. So there's one drawback. The benefit of Alexa is the fact she's sitting there. It's sitting there constantly. It's only in one room, so that's the drawback to that in comparison to Josh AI.
But they have the bugs now.
But yes, the dots. Yes.
Yep.
So here's the thing. So Control 4 and Crestron, those are two that have what they call native skills. If you're not familiar with Alexa, you have to tell Alexa, typically, if you're interfacing with something other than an Amazon product, to do something. So if you want to, you mentioned that you're cold. If you want to change your Nest or your Honeywell, you have to say, Alexa, tell Nest to make it 80 degrees in here. Okay. With what's called native integration or native skills, now you just have to say, Alexa, turn the thermostat to 70 degrees, and then it interfaces with either Control 4 or Crestron currently. Now, something that Crestron has added to that are these, I'm going to call them like feelings, like touchy-feely, hey, mood type things, where you can say, Alexa, tell Crestron I'm cold.
Right.
And then it'll do something, right? These are automated steps that you can set up and along with your programmer. I don't know that that's going to be great for integration into Crestron. And here's the reason why. The fact that that both of them have native skills, in other words, the speech patterns of people who are interfacing with these, the fact that you have to remember an extra 2 or 3 words may become a stumbling block. The native part of Alexa, the fact that my 8 and 10-year-old and Jason's kids, 5 minutes into me unboxing Alexa, my kids were fighting over it, right? Because it's so intuitive. Where they get stuck is when they have to do something outside of the Amazon ecosystem, right? If they want to interface with one of the games or interface with the Nest or interface with something else, and they have to remember that, oh yeah, I have to say these certain words. That's a stumbling block for adoption, honestly. So what's going to happen is, in my opinion here, is that the more native you can make it, the more native speech you can make it,
right,
the more successful it's going to be.
Well, and that's kind of what I was getting at, was at what point, essentially, how much are dealers going to, when they start talking about selling, the Control 4 integration or the Crestron integration or even the Lutron integration, how much of that information are they going to have to express to the client so that the client does not get frustrated trying to tell a light to turn on by saying it's dark in here and nothing happens?
Well, it's education, right? You tell them, going in. Now, for the Crestron and Control 4, you can personalize to a certain extent. You can say, because they all have lighting scenes and they all, have groups and stuff like that. You can say, you know what? How do you want to tell the kitchen to turn on? Right. Say, okay, Alexa, turn on the kitchen lights. Okay. Or do you want to say, Alexa, turn on the kitchen? One of the nice little automation pieces, and again, I'm a big control guy, is both of them had the example of Alexa, good night, right? Where Alexa interfaces again with your given control system, locks the doors, lowers the shades, turns off all the lights, this, that, and the other, and sings you Kumbaya on from Spotify. Things like that are already starting to be built in. So I can see a day when eventually you can tell Alexa natively, Alexa, I'm cold, and have those automation pieces put into place.
Now, one of the things that this article talked about, just kind of getting past the Echo side of things, was their Z-Wave support. Jason, now that they're announcing true integration with Z-Wave, is this just an expansion of their obviously their ecosystem, or is this a big step in the right direction because they're now getting proper feedback and all the two-way control natively, as if that Z-Wave, that third-party Z-Wave device, is one of their built-in devices?
Yeah, and Z-Wave announced at the show a dealer toolkit that dealers can use to monitor the network also. So now we're seeing, there are so many trends. We could be on this call for like 5 hours, guys, and never get into all the trends that were at the show. But that whole monitoring of the network is another big trend that was coming out of the show. And in fact, at the very bottom of that article, what I think ultimately may be even more important than the Alexa announcement was the last couple of paragraphs of Julie's article talked about the Control 4 and the Foresight service plan deal that currently most integrators package the first year. Then when it comes time to have to resell that service in the subsequent years, they haven't done so well because most integrators are not very successful at selling service. And Control 4 announced, guess what, guys? You don't have to sell Foresight anymore. Now we are going to sell it directly to your customers for you and kick you back the same commission fee that you were going to make as if you had sold it. the Control 4 integrators I talked to at the show are ecstatic about that because they struggle with selling service fees. So now they're still going to get the same cut of revenue that they were getting. But look at it from Control 4 standpoint now. They have just turned this company from a company that's 100% dependent on the integrator to creating a recurring revenue stream with consumers directly to them. Brilliant.
Well, and I think they're taking it a step further. We've been being bombarded for the last couple of CEDIAs and even at Infocom by all the manufacturers telling us and encouraging us as dealers that you've got to get RMR going. And this is, and I may be wrong on this, but this is the first company I've seen that is, kind of saying, hey, you need to get your RMR in place and we're going to help you do it. We're going to find a way to renew these people and kick you back. Am I wrong in seeing that, or are they?
Yeah, I mean, they're
potentially the first ones.
There's as far as I know, they're the first ones who are saying I guess expressalarm.com might be one that is doing that already. In that they have a direct relationship with the customer also, and then they remit a fee back to the integrator. Right. But you look at, there was IHG has with its Envision platform is really been pushing guys to get into the service business. There was a launch of a system called Integrator Service Desk by a company called One Vision Resources, where they will actually become the service support function for integrators. And again, remitting, the integrator sells their service. There's a share fee. Snap AV with the Oversee Pro launch announcement at the show. So this whole managed services category is finally coming to fruition, and I think it's gonna. These guys are finally learning that the alarm model that has been so successful for so many years can work to a certain extent in the custom integration market.
No, that's very true. I've got one last question for the panel. Leading into this show, there was a lot of scuttlebug about Sonos. They were getting direct integration with Control 4 and Crestron and Lutron and a couple other partners. But then all the Alexa stuff came out, and that kind of seemed to kill it for Sonos. They did not have the buzz that everybody else did with Alexa. Is that something that will hurt them in the long run?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that trade shows are weird, right? You've got announcements that typically will happen a day or two beforehand. The news cycle, at least in our industry, is pretty static. Things happen, and then you have a 2 or 3 day lead time. Me personally, again, I come from programming. I come from automation. I hooked on to Alexa as, holy cow, you've got all these things. And it was something that came kind of out of left field, right? Sonos was one of those things that at least from the people that I was talking to, was coming eventually. People, hey, just hang on. That the Amazon Echo thing just really kind of, took me by surprise. And then, like Jason said, you had all these other folks who were already doing pretty good voice control. So the fact that this is a segment and a technology that, honestly, this was kind of the CEDIA where voice control kind of came into its own as a good, viable option in the residential.
So that hits that whole thing of, is that something that, because obviously Sonos had it, is that something where?
But not really. I mean, here's the thing.
That's what I mean. Is they didn't announce anything big. They weren't flashy with it. They were flashy with these other integrations that then got lost.
They were busy. I mean, they were not hurting.
No. I'm sure they weren't. Well, and they have a white sub now.
Well, yes.
So there's that. I guess it's one of those things where, for the last couple of years, we've gone to CEDIA and we've kind of known what was coming. Everybody kind of has that expectation of somebody's showing this, somebody's going to announce that. This year, we kind of expected all of that and expected a lot of push or at least I did, from Sonos with some of their new integration, because they've been so standoffish with that. And we've talked about it for 2 or 3 shows now, about some of the stuff that they're doing. And then again, just as I said, voice control came out, and it just, everything got lost. I find it very interesting.
Yeah, I don't think ultimately it's going to affect Sonos at all.
No.
Yeah. And I think 5 years from now, or maybe even less, we'll look back at this conversation and maybe even laugh a little bit about what a big deal we were making about voice control, because ultimately it's all about the sentient home, the home that senses you with facial recognition cameras and sensors, and is linking directly to your social media and accessing movies that you've seen and that I've seen. I mean, it's going to be so, this will be passe 5 years from now.
Right. Very true. All right, gentlemen, that is all the time we have this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Jason, where can people connect with you?
You can follow me on Twitter at JasonW. And of course, see me on CEPro.com.
Excellent. Again, thanks so much for being here. Brooks, I hope you enjoyed your time.
I did. I enjoyed it. It's a great time. Thanks for having me.
Where can people connect with you? Where can they find a little bit more about iPoint?
Yeah, iPointSolutions.net is the best place to go. So all our information is on there.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here. Tim, where can people find you?
On social media, it's TD, Tim David Albright. That's I guess the best way to find me, or here at AVNation.tv.
Beautiful. For myself, you can always find me at Matt D. Scott on Twitter, or pretty much that anywhere else on any social platform. But more importantly, please stop by AVNation.tv. You'll find this show, as well as a wide variety of our other shows that cover all the other verticals that we cover. When you do visit the site, please make sure you check out our underwriters. We're extremely thankful for their support, and we ask that you check them out as well. Thanks again for watching this episode of ResiWeek.